This is a message for people in the UK who have significant wealth. If you're not really wealthy, stop watching now. This video isn't for you. So, now I've got you to myself. Can I just ask you if you're happy with the state of the UK at the moment? Let's quickly look at some simple facts. 13.4 million people were living in poverty in the UK in 2020-21. That's 1 out of every 5 people, 20%. Of these, 3.9 million were children and 1.7 million pensioners. Of course, this doesn't include the impact of the cost of living crisis over the past year. These figures will only have worsened. NHS waiting lists at record levels, 7.5 million people waiting for treatment. All public services seem to be struggling or in crisis. Yet the country is in record levels of debt. Since the 1980s, we've generally had policies based on low taxes. The idea being that if you reduce taxation, this creates optimal conditions for entrepreneurs to flourish, to create growth and wealth, and that ultimately this wealth will trickle down to the benefit of everybody. This clearly hasn't worked. And we hear calls from the Conservatives for more tax cuts to stimulate growth. When are our politicians going to realise that this doesn't work? We're choking the economy in order to give more and more tax cuts. It's crazy. And we have massive inequality in this country. The richest 1% have average wealth of £3.6 million, whereas the least wealthy 10% have average wealth of £15,400. And the top 10% have 43% of the wealth, while the bottom 50% have only 9%. Here's a really staggering statistic. Total household wealth in the UK is more than £15 trillion. Current UK GDP is around £2.3 trillion. This means that total wealth is almost 7 times the size of the UK economy. And the top 10% have 6.6 trillion total wealth, almost 3 times the size of the UK economy. How do you feel about that? If you believe that these types of differences are purely about how hard you've worked, then you should also probably stop watching this video. I'm sure you've worked really hard and made many sacrifices to build up your wealth. I'm not saying that it's easy to get rich. However, we live in a society where wealth gets passed down from generation to generation. Some people start off in life with such an advantage. Do you really think that everyone in poverty and with low income is there because they haven't worked hard enough? The UK is renowned as a country that cares with a sense of fair play. So I have a proposal for you, and it's a radical one. How about sharing some of your wealth to ensure that the UK has world-leading healthcare, education, welfare, transport, utilities, etc., etc.? Too much it's been the case that those on the left propose higher taxes in a type of confrontation with the rich. I'm not proposing that. I want you to buy into higher taxes in order to prove the minimum standards of everything in the UK for everyone. A lot needs to change, including our politics. We need some grown-up politicians with serious vision in order to ensure that the best value for money is obtained for any tax increase that does occur. If you're going to give more of your wealth to the benefit of the country, you want to make sure that it's well spent. I've got a separate video on the practicalities of a tax increase, which I hope you'll watch. And I'm also doing a video on why I don't think that philanthropy and charity are enough. However, in this video, I just wanted to see if you were open to improving the country. By the way, if you are, you're not alone. There's an organisation called Patriotic Millionaires where people just like you are calling for those with extreme wealth to share some of it for the benefit of the country. Definitely worth taking a look at this. So far, I've been talking about morality, conscience, the type of society that we want to live in. There's an additional point that I'd like to finish on. If you were to be guaranteed happier by sharing your wealth more, would you want to do it then? You may or may not be religious or spiritual, but I think it's interesting to note that most great religious and spiritual teachings are not against wealth as such, but at the same time, most emphasize philosophies such as to give is to receive, help your neighbour, don't get attached to your possessions, everything you have is on loan to you, etc., etc. There is perhaps a reason why these philosophies have endured for thousands of years. Food for thought. If you've watched to the end of this video, thank you. I'm hoping we can start a revolution in this country with a radical reinvigoration of the economy and society, but not class-based or ideology-based, something much more human than that. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please consider liking or subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.